It's a real pleasure to be here tonight. When I walked into the room and I saw all these sort of chairman of the board seats there, I thought we've got a whole room full of senior executives sitting here. So I'm delighted that you're taking time to listen to our story. Malpa is an organisation whose name is derived from Western Desert people said that's the name we want you to call it. It means friends, usually friends on the journey. And they asked us to call it that because they wanted us to say this is black fellas and white fellas walking that journey together. I guess like a lot of Australians, you may feel fatigued whenever you turn on the TV news and there's a story about First Nations people. Often there's great sadness attached to it. There's the fact that closing the gap seems to never close and doesn't seem to have closed anywhere in my time working with this. Well, I'm here to bring you a good news story, something that you can say that at least works, and there are some ideas in there that may be useful for others. Let me start at the beginning. I was working as a television producer and spending a lot of time in Central Australia, especially around the town camps there, smaller town camps. Can we have that picture up, please? And this is the Walbury camp on the edge of Alice Springs, and you can see most people are living in a rusty tin shelter and sleeping on dirty old mattresses out in the open. These three beautiful children were there one night that I was there, and a woman thrust her baby into my arms as we sat around the campfire, and she said, "Help me, I don't know what to do." I thought, well, I'm a television program, I don't know what to do. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a social worker, I'm not a what. And it was as though a whole lot of things fell from my eyes. It was all this squalor that I'd become used to living amongst with the people there who I came to know as very close friends. And the very resonance of the fact that everybody in that camp, and the other town camps too, were all sick. From the youngest to the oldest, they were sick with multiple things: heart disease, kidney failure, diabetes, you name it, they had it, and they had it in multiples. And I said to my dear friends, especially Rex Chapananka, our senior Walbury man, I said, "Rex, why does nothing work? We keep hearing about all the money being spent, and look, this is terrible." 15 years ago, I was the oldest man in that community, and because all the others were dead. That's not the Australia I want to live in. And Rex said, well, the reason that nothing works is twofold. He said, firstly, you don't do things our way, and the other thing is that you don't seriously include us. And that was when he was generous enough to go on and explain what the Walbury Pintabee way was of achieving good health. And it's quite simple. The traditional healers, the nunnery, part of their job is to choose children when they're about 10 years of age and start giving them the health knowledge to raise them so that they will become the next generation of healers, not only with physical health, but social and emotional health, what they call the kurumpa, the spirit. They say the kurumpa is not strong, no amount of medicine in the world will help. And that's a truism too. And they said, and you need to include us, but we've got to do this jungajara. We've got to do this together. It can't be just a black fella thing, and it can't be a white fella thing. And I thought about that long and deep, and then we came back with the idea of what if we did something like that in a contemporary setting and see if it worked. What if we created a situation where we took young children aside and we started teaching them some of the old ways and some of the new ways, and empowering them to see themselves as the next generation of healers. Now, we're not trying to train doctors as such. Some of our kids may do that, and that would be terrific. What we're trying to do is give them a strong sense of pride in themselves, a strong kurumpa, so that they can become who they dream they want to become. So we did that. We started with 12 kids out there, and we started teaching the two ways. And an example of old ways and new ways. Old ways of medicine, if you cut yourself, before white fellas came to Australia, you put a spider web around it, and that would hold the cut. The trick is first take the spider out, and you tend to use this method. But then also learn teaching the kids about hygiene. So what we do is we've created a program whereby each community, they know what their problems are, what they want to solve, and it's different for every one of them. They create the solutions around a scaffold, if you like, of ideas. And the ideas will be things like social and emotional well-being, health leadership, nutrition, hygiene, these key areas. And then they have a very hands-on program where they start discovering what things go into making a good, healthy life. A simple change. I can't tell you how many of our kids, and we've trained 3,500, how many of our kids think that at breakfast is a can of Coca-Cola. And it's only because they don't know. And when they discover through playing games with how much sugar's in that thing, how far would you have to run to get rid of all that sugar? And why is it that auntie's got diabetes and had to have her foot cut off? And why is it that uncle's got kidney failure? And they start to put it all together, these little 10-year-olds. Fascinating at 10 is the age. NASA now starts looking for astronauts and engineers at 10. 10 is a pivotal age emotionally and in terms of growth. It's when the light bulb moments come on. Now we know that lots of Aboriginal kids, the only role models they get are footballers. Well, everyone can't play for Richmond, especially the girls. And it's just not fair because everybody else feels like they've failed yet again. What we say to them, here's a woman who's a nurse. Here's an ambulance driver who's doing paramedic stuff, and she'll teach you stuff. She'll teach you what to do when you come home and you find auntie's collapsed on the floor, how you make her safe, how you make a phone call to the ambulance service. All these things. Now the net result is the kids can't stay away from school. I know education departments are struggling with getting kids to school. We even had a project in Melbourne where the kids were climbing a 2-metre high brick wall to break in and learn. And I said that to the minister. I said, we've got some principles running here that might be useful for you. These kids, you can't keep them away from school because it's relevant and it's exciting. So that's what we do. So what's the impact? A couple of examples of impact. School attendance climbs through the roof. We had one project, they ran it on a Friday. That's a great project if you want to deal with school attendance, great time. School attendance went up 65% according to the principal. Usually school attendance rises 35% in our projects, up to about 97%. Kids are there because they want to be there. And because they're there, they're learning, and they're hoping, and they're dreaming. And they're meeting all these different kinds of role models, if you like, that turn the lights on in the most unexpected and most delightful ways. Now we're very proud that we've been approached to start some work down in Gippsland. We've trained about 1,200 kids in Victoria, and to watch those kids grow and become young leaders sharing their knowledge is very exciting. Now they've asked us to come, and we only go where we're invited, to Gippsland, and also to extend some new projects in around Melbourne. And I'll give you an example of the need very quickly. Globally, the World Health Organization says that otitis media incidence over 3%, that's glue ear or this runny gun ear. Anything over 3% is a health crisis. Amongst Aboriginal people in Australia, it runs as high as 91%. And that means that kids aren't fixed by the time they're 11, they're deaf for the rest of their life. The odds are they'll end up in jail and in trouble and dying young. We found there's a school in, I won't name the southern in Melbourne. The incidence of otitis media amongst our cohort is 40%. This is something that's solvable if somebody does something about it, but it seems the only ones who can do things about it and are doing things about it are the Aboriginal people and their numbers, the non-Indigenous kids, taking the steps to take control of that so that the other generations don't have it. You saw that photograph a little bit earlier there. Thanks, Seth. Could you just click us back to that one there? That was the graduation ceremony in Kempsey, and all the young doctors there performed basic health tests on the rest of the whole school cohort. And if you want to know what learning looks like, it's that little kid at the back with the glasses. He gets me every time. And what he's saying is, I don't have to wait for a doctor. I don't have to wait for an adult to look after me. is stuff that I can do to make sure my life has hope and purpose and my core is strong. And I would be really thrilled if you were able to join us on that journey and contribute to our growth in Victoria. The need is there, the desire from the community is there, and we would be delighted to be able to respond to that. So thank you very much.